Well, also too, I think, especially as women, we've been groomed to like want to go shopping. That's supposed to be sort of the norm, and it is fun, and we like pretty things. But I think at some point it becomes almost an addiction for like we don't feel good, so then we go to the store so we can look for stuff. So if someone wanted to break that habit, let's say they don't want to acquire as many things, what are some things that people could do where they're not consuming things? Like what are some activities that you've replaced maybe shopping with?
Well, before I jump into the activities thing, one thing that I've really tried to make myself do over the years is everything I buy, I force myself to use. So, if I say, oh, there's this, I don't know, a new piece of sporting goods equipment, because actually that's sort of one of my weaknesses is, gear for things. I make myself do it. Like if I get a pair of snowshoes, make myself go snowshoeing. And then after doing that, sometimes like you actually buy things that you really don't want to use. And if you make yourself use it, then then you won't actually end up buying something that you're not sure about in the future. Because I think we know, as we're like reaching to pick it up, it's like I may or may not use this, but we just don't admit it to ourselves. You like kind of convince yourself you're going to use it. So anyway, that's just a random thing that I do, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, just thinking more about sort of doing things rather than having things, and I think that, for me, maybe, rather than going shopping, sometimes, going to meet a friend and hanging out with friends, or, like finding a new recipe and like, doing something creative, or, I'm a writer, so maybe it's like, oh, maybe I should just sit down and work on this project that I want to work on. And I feel like for me, that's, I sort of get the same thrill, as sort of buying something new of like, oh, I'm doing this thing that makes me feel really satisfied and I'm really excited about it. And I feel like it kind of fills the same need for me. And, I think that in the people that we've talked to, they find that when they have to stop consuming, the quality of their life goes up because they have to fill that space with all these other things, like volunteering or spending time with their friends or their family or starting a business or, doing these things that maybe they were kind of lazy about before because they were able to, buy things. So.
Yeah, I think there's also maybe a psychological component too. I'm just thinking about it right here. And, maybe we buy things because it's one thing that we have control over, like how we spend our money. And maybe we feel so out of control in our lives that, say, like you were saying, like with the addiction, and I think there's a lot of people who go shopping to make themselves feel better when they're depressed or whatever. Perhaps that's a reaction. It's like, I can't control the things that are happening in my life, but I can control this thing. I can like go in and buy that and nobody can tell me, yes or no. And that's what's hard, is because you have to tell yourself, you shouldn't, you don't need that or whatever. And yeah, sorry, that's just a random thought.
Yeah, I think, as I'm thinking about it more, I do think, for me, the thrill of sort of like making something rather than buying something is kind of a nice parallel. Kind of just like being creative is so much more satisfying than sort of just going out and getting something that's already, been created by someone else.